a report is there, you pick up some words and then to try to attach some label, and then the software automatically try to find out another text or paragraph where they can link that paragraph to that particular code. So you have certain codes assigned to different text, and the software tend to assign the code to different paragraphs or different pieces of text in your entire document, and then you arrive at some conclusion. Then there is narrative analysis. Okay, so narrative analysis basically examines the story of people. So here we are not reading any report, we are not analyzing a report, but we are analyzing the experiences narrated by the respondent. So it is used for studying biographies, interviews, historical accounts. For example, analyzing how war veterans narrate their combat experiences. Okay. Also, you can have the case of rape survivors, for example. Rape survivors narrating their experiences. So narrative analysis means how individuals construct and interpret their life experiences through storytelling. So once you have their narrations, their stories, you analyze those stories rather than analyzing the report, which is done in content analysis. I hope this is the difference is clear. And what is the process of narrative analysis? Process of narrative analysis is simply data collection, interviews, personal stories, historical texts. Okay. Story structure identification. Look at the plot, look at the character sequence. All those things comes under the narrative analysis. And meaning extraction. Understand themes in the storytelling process. What are the different themes? Like in the case of war veterans, one theme could be bravery. Other theme could be like patriotism. Okay. So at the end of the narrative analysis, you try to extract meanings from the narrations or from the stories. Research question could be, for example, how do cancer survivors describe their journey? So you can go to cancer survivors, ask them to describe their journey. So here you can have either interviews or you can have 25 biographies, for example, of cancer survivors. This is just a number arbitrarily I've taken, with 30. So findings, normally the findings are that survivors, they often frame their journey as a battle, a spiritual awakening, or a personal transformation. Survivor says that I have survived cancer, it's a personal transformation for me. And people also become more spiritual because of the fear of death basically. So once they have come out of the fear of death, they become more religious, sometimes more spiritual. So discourse analysis is another technique for qualitative data analysis. Discourse, as I told you, is a fancy word for written or spoken language or debate. Discourse is basically a fancy word for written, spoken language or debate. So the history and culture of those involved in that debate is also very important in discourse analysis. So political discourse can be studied on media, social media. Then political speeches. When a researcher studies political speeches, it comes under the category of discourse analysis. Understanding culture is also under comes under discourse analysis. Now, these are two examples, like analyzing how politicians frame climate change policies in speeches, and how politicians frame reservation policies in their speeches. So, a politician can say that climate change is a threat. Politician B can say that climate change can lead to economic losses. So there the discourse is different. Similarly, politicians frame reservation policies in speeches. In India, they frame some of them say that reservation is an integral part of our ideology. So they go with reservation. Others say that reservation should not be based on caste; it should be based on economic criteria. So this is what is called political discourse. And the analysis is carried out to see what parties are on what page. So this type of analysis is often conducted, and by basically there are certain agencies which work for political parties, and they do this type of discourse analysis. They come up with their conclusions, and then they tell the politicians to change the discourse, to refine their strategies according to the findings of the analysis. Identify the context. So this is the process of discourse analysis. Understand the cultural, historical, and political background, which is important. Analyze language use. So language use, like look at words, metaphors, and framing, how it is framed. Like word like threat is being used, or word like economic prosperity or economic losses is used. In the context of reservation, word like necessity is used, okay, or ideology is used. So understand, interpret the implications by understanding the underlying assumptions and the influences. Now, this is one research question. This is an example of discourse analysis. How do companies communicate about layoffs in official statements? So you could look at 50 corporate press releases, and many use words like restructuring rather than directly stating layoff. Okay, so they use words like restructuring in order to justify their layoffs without directly stating, and they would rather not state that they are laying off people. So this type of analysis can be carried out if you have different corporate press releases. So you can come up with some conclusions. Now, thematic analysis is the most important of all. So thematic analysis identifies and interprets patterns or themes across qualitative data. So it identifies and interprets patterns or themes. Now, thematic analysis is similar to content analysis, but in content analysis, we are not interested in finding the themes. We are just interested in codes or certain words or labels that are occurring most often in a transcript or in a set of documents. It is used for analyzing interviews, open-ended surveys, focus group discussions, understanding views of the people. Example is examining student perceptions of online learning during COVID-19. So if you want to understand student perceptions of online learning, then you have to look at the interviews of the students, assign them themes which come up more often than others, and then come up with some meaningful conclusions. So this is the process of thematic analysis. Data familiarization. Read and reread the data. So data should be thoroughly read. That is the first step. Generate initial codes. Generating initial codes means you label meaningful statements. You have some statement, you put a label for that statement. And then when you group some labels or codes, then you create themes. So group frequent codes to create themes. And then finally, you review these themes to find out patterns in your data. So we'll take up example of thematic analysis in detail. This is one example that I have given you earlier also. For example, your research question is, what factors make a restaurant popular? So what you can do is, you can look at the reviews of a particular restaurant. You can go to tripadvisor.com and have a look at the reviews. So you can have 100 reviews of the restaurant. Now 75% of the reviews may mention fresh ingredients quite often, quite frequently. And around 20% mention friendly staff quite often. So here the math is correct. 20 plus 20, 75% plus 20%, rest is 5%. So less than 100%. There I need to make a change actually. I wrote 35% and 20%. 75 and 30 actually, which exceeds 100%. Anyway, so now by looking at these reviews, analyzing these reviews, you come to know that restaurant is popular because it uses fresh ingredients and it has a friendly waiting staff, for example. Okay. Now I am taking up one detailed example of thematic analysis. So suppose this is the research topic. Exploring the impact of remote work during COVID-19 pandemic. Exploring the impact of remote work during the COVID-19 pandemic. A qualitative study. This is the research topic, or let us say it cannot be a PhD topic. It will require much more effort for a PhD. But let us say for a journal article, this is a topic. Aims are to explore the experiences and challenges faced by individuals working remotely during the COVID-19 pandemic. Improve understanding of the impact of remote work on work-life balance. I think this concept of work-life balance is very common in Western world. For example, in USA, people would work for 5 days a week, rest 2 days, they will take rest on or the weekend. So they maintain a balance between work and life. This is called work-life balance. And Microsoft is a company which is known for a very high quality work-life balance. Now, I don't think Infosys would fall under the category of a good work-life balance, because the founder of the Infosys is saying that people should work more than 70 hours a week, which is not a good thing. We are not meant